Okay, cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming through today. Today, I have one of Durban's premier modeling agencies, IMM, the management and some of the talent from IMM. First and foremost, let me just ask you guys, can you please just introduce yourselves?
Okay, thank you firstly for having us. We're super excited to be on your podcast.
Absolutely.
So I'm Natasha. I'm the owner of IMM Model Management, and so we've been open for about 8 years, and then I've got some of my great models that have joined us, so I'll let them introduce themselves.
Right. So I'm Jerry. I'm Jerry Nsona. I've been modeling. I've been with IMM since I started modeling professionally. So it's been a great journey with IMM as well. Really great.
I am Meloh, Mdluli from Spingo. I've been with Tash for, I think it's my 3rd year now, but in the industry for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's been amazing. It's a growing journey.
Oh, wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
So now tell me, first and foremost, how did this modeling agency come about?
Okay, so I've personally been in the industry for 20 years, plus minus. So I'm from Durban originally. Fell into it by complete and utter default. It was something, not something I aspired to do ever when I was a teenager. So I started off in Durban. I worked in the Cape Town industry. I've been fortunate and grateful enough to have worked abroad in an international agency. Came back to Cape Town and then finally settled in Durban when my daughter was about to start school. And I've always wanted to have my own agency and just do things my way. I think the industry has so much potential in it, just with personal growth, with development of people and models, because models are people. So we mustn't forget that.
We forget that.
Yeah, we forget that a lot. We think they're clothes horse, and we forget they have emotions and they have different personalities. And, I really want to put a personal touch to it when dealing with my models, when dealing with the clients. And I'm hoping that I'm achieving that, and that's how we came about, because it's a passion of mine. I kept going back to it and thinking, oh, I love this. I really love this, and I really love it. So
I find in my career as well, it's very easy for people to almost dehumanize models. So it's almost like, for example, they'll make you guys change wherever.
Correct. Right? And that's something that we must think about, because, right, you wouldn't do that on a normal corporate event. Right?
Exactly. You wouldn't you'd give a person more decency. Also, I find that people, it's easier for them to insult how you look.
Right.
So people will point out things like, that fact that you've got that.
Right.
Filter. But you guys would know more because you're on set. You know?
Absolutely. True. That happens a lot. True. Like the part where you're saying about dressing, random. Sometimes you're on set and the changing room isn't, you can't see no changing room. So somehow you have to
freestyle.
You have to just go with it. Your time is running out. You have to dress up. So somehow you just have to make it work. But that's a very true, that is a reality right now. That happens a lot on set.
That is very, very interesting. So now, why are you passionate about developing models in their careers? Where did that spark?
Okay, so as I said, I've worked in various industries throughout my career, and I found that my passion actually got started so much more when I worked in London. So I found that we have so much potential here. We seriously have so much potential, and we really have been going across the border to do so much as models, as agencies. But I do believe that a lot of the time, the youngsters coming into the industry aren't necessarily taken care of in the best possible way. And I'm just saying in general, because they're not familiar with what the industry is about. It's a proper industry. It's a business. So,
how do they get taken advantage of? How are they not taken care of?
I wouldn't say taken advantage of. I think more not educated enough. So you get thrown into a lion's den, not in terms of where you are shortchanged on how you should be treated, not at all. I've not come across that at all. Okay. I just think that in terms of the grooming, that is really a beginning point from when you enter the industry. You should know about things that you will encounter with clients. Being a 16-year-old, you don't know this. You're going into an industry that a 10 percentile maybe gets a really bad reputation, and it's not. The industry is so much more than the 10 percentile that we hear about. Right. The progress within the industry, just in your personal growth, in how you honestly, I believe that the modeling industry allows people to go out in the world and do their very best. You come across so much. It's not just restricted to what you do as a model.
Right.
You learn how to network.
Right.
You learn how to deal with difficult situations.
Right.
You learn how to deal with maybe an irate, difficult situation on set. And that all helps you to better with your skill set, with dealing with people.
Right.
As much as we digitized, I don't know if you agree.
No, that's absolutely. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true. You learn how to deal with different personalities, different attitudes, you know. So you have to relate with people. You have to kind of build relationships with people, photographers, directors, fellow models.
You have to be liked too
You have to be nice.
by people who are sometimes unlikable.
Right. Yeah.
It's true.
Exactly.
It's completely true.
But also to add on that, I feel like exactly how Tesh said, you're not just focusing on one thing, also character development.
Yeah.
Simply because you get into a space where you need to know how to be around people, you need to know how to carry yourself, and also to adjust under pressure where you don't actually crack. So it's a lot. It's not just you being a model and standing there and looking pretty. It's about having that personality where you can adapt and you're professional all the time. Even if someone is saying something, that's going to throw you off, you need to bring yourself back. So having that thick skin also carries you through in a sense of, even if it's an insult, you have to move yourself away from that. And that it's not just you being you, also you need to be strong mentally, so personal wise, you need to be present. Mentally, you need to be sharp. So it's not just you being an object when you get there. There's a lot required from you as a model.
Right.
And also, I think agencies too.
Yeah.
So when it comes to us, it's just that you have to carry yourself a certain way and you need to know yourself when you get yourself into that space.
I really like what you're saying about mental toughness, because I notice like sometimes as models, you guys you'll be cold. You'll be doing a swimsuit shoot. You'll be hungry because the catering is late.
Right.
And then you're being constantly judged as well.
Right.
So if you don't have that thick skin, you're not going to get the shot that needs to be got at that point in time.
Absolutely.
It's difficult. It really is. I'm saying this simply because some people don't come back from that insult or joke.
Right.
So when you get on set and now you have to snap into Vogue that shoot, and then now you are in your feelings, you hurt, you want to cry, but at the same time they need that shot from you. So jumping from being emotional into being serious, you have to Vogue it out. You have to be able to switch, because now it's not just you and your feelings, it's about the job that you need to do. It's about how you're going to carry yourself, and they need that specific shot that you need to deliver.
So you have to go from being, okay, I feel bad, but I got to slay.
Exactly.
Gotta slay.
Yeah. It's actually acting, if you think about it. We take on a persona when we're doing anything, whether it's in a corporate environment, whether it's as a model environment. You take on this persona. You have a work face and you have a home face. When you step onto work, you have your work face. Do you know what I mean? So if you start training your mind to think that this is not, what you're saying to me is not about me, it's because you wanting to achieve what you need to achieve. The minute you start learning to detach from what is happening, but be present in what's needed, it changes the game.
Wow.
Right.
That is an amazing way to say it.
Yeah. It does.
Detach from what is happening, but be present.
Yeah.
So is that why you have such an emphasis on training?
Absolutely. So I don't do training in terms of classes, but I definitely do self-development within my model. So there's a lot of personal attention that I feel has to go in when you are dealing with people. It's not even just the models, because I could have 5 brunettes. Not all of them are the same. Not all of them have the same personality. Not all of them are the same character. You have to really hone into that person and what their skill sets are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what their passions are. And that's where I feel, I'm hoping, I don't know, but we're trying to achieve that, where we can give this personal touch. Which
How
is
do you
really
actually
the
do
premise
that, like in action?
Get to know them. That's it. It's as simple as talking. That's it. Make time to speak to them. Make time to meet with them in person. When I do my meetings, I do my meetings in person. It's not, I really don't want to run a cattle ranch. It was never my intention. And I don't mean to make it sound derogatory, but I'm talking about numbers. I call it a boutique agency intentionally. I want to keep it that way intentionally. People are so impressionable. youngsters are so impressionable. And no matter at what age you are, we all have these few things, which I have as well, that we're not too confident about. And I'm there to help you think that it's okay.
Right.
If you have a problem, please come to me.
Right.
It's a really personal touch.
It's funny because that's one of the things that always surprised me the most is the average person doesn't believe that models are insecure.
Right.
Yeah.
Not sure. See how we dehumanize them though. Being outside of the industry, for example, you think that, oh, this doesn't faze you, you're beautiful. But you don't, you know what I mean? You look at it and you're like, oh, you look at the magazine, oh, this is so easy. You don't understand how many times I've had this. This conversation that I've had a million times with people that are not, and I don't mean any disrespect. But it allows me to have the conversation back and respond. Oh, this is so... No, it's not that easy. Have you ever tried to get on set with 10 people staring at you and start jumping around like a freak? You try. Let me know how quick and easy is that. Because you freeze. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. So I commend them because you've got to face this. It's so much harder behind the scenes and what they have to do as models to get the result that you just maybe see in a magazine.
Right.
For example.
Absolutely.
So now, something that I want to ask you about is that, so I noticed this when I was leaving high school, is that a lot of the more attractive girls and guys who wanted to be models, they have this idea in their mind that Cape Town is the spot, that's where I need to go to get picked up and noticed. How do you compete with the Cape Town agencies that are constantly taking the newest crop of talent over?
In the industry, there will always be competition. I think you have to be steadfast in what you're trying to do. And I think with the digital world having opened up everything for us, everything is digitized. You can literally propose to a client in Sweden and you're sitting in an office in Durban. This,
It's amazing.
it's amazing. I love it. So absolutely, Cape Town is a way more developed industry in comparison to, say, Durban, because we're a much smaller province. However, in saying that, we have the most incredible talent across the board. Models, creatives, and I feel like if we develop it here and if we don't look at it as an industry that's so small, we are really a platform that can compete not just with nationals but internationally, and that's really the vision for the agency. So in terms of them taking, of course it's going to be that. It's because they have cemented the way with the clients that they are dealing with. They've been around longer, and we have models that I've placed with Cape Town agencies. So it just helps with growth. It's an industry. If we all work together, it's only going to make it stronger and better.
Okay. Now that's
Healthy
a beautiful way of
competition.
phrasing it. Healthy competition.
And it's important that we have it. How are we going to progress?
I love the fact that you mentioned as well that so much talent comes from Durban initially as well.
Yes.
I believe genetically we're incredibly gifted here in Durban. And then secondarily, in terms of the creatives who are actually shooting, you find a lot of the photographers, a lot of the DOPs, they're born here and then they have to go out at some point in their careers.
They have to.
So now, going back to the genetics point, I want to kind of touch on something, and I'm going to ask you guys this question and then come back to you. Do you believe that modeling is purely genetic, or is there a skill that you need to develop as well as just being born attractive?
Can I start?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's as much as you can have the passion, you have to improve it every time and every day, which means it becomes a skill that you need to improve because sets are not the same. So in this one, say for instance, you're doing beauty requires something else. Face, you need to pose a certain way. And then runway, you need to walk a certain way. So from beauty to runway, you need to know, okay, which one am I doing today? It's like you wear that day when you're on set. And then when you have to do a campaign shoot, that's also different. So as much as you can know and love it, you have to develop yourself every time so that when you get there, they know, snap, oh, you're doing good, because you know what you have to bring on that day, whatever that you have to do. Hence, as an agency, they always do briefings. So it's this shoot that you're doing today. If it's a runway, okay, I'm going to bring my heels. Heels, you need runway walk. So if it's a campaign shoot, you need to know your poses are on set. So everything needs to be developed every time.
Correct.
And it doesn't end. You grow every day. You grow every day. It's not limiting, and also being open to learning every time. You grow and you become greater. I think that's how it becomes genetic to you, because it becomes easier, but at the same time, if you make it easy, then you become comfortable. So if you put yourself in a space of, I need to learn, okay, what am I missing? If you didn't get casted today, okay, it's not about, oh my gosh, maybe, I'm not what they're looking for. No, where can I improve? There's a certain look that they're looking for, and that's what they require. It's nothing to do with you or being incompetent. So it's about you improving yourself every time, in terms of, if I'm not taking, okay, it's cool, it wasn't for me, but let me develop myself better.
That's so true. And I feel like a lot of people won't be able to understand that.
Yeah.
Because I've seen, like, in my career, I've seen beautiful girls just, not on brand.
Exactly.
So if you allow that to stop you, you're going to end up hating the industry, because you're going to think, oh, it's a me problem. Only to find, if you're not the person that they're looking for, you can't even enforce it to be taken. So get yourself in a great mind space where it's okay to receive a no. It could be in a space where you need to learn something and get yourself better. So that you get into a space where there's so many yeses, and also there's also a no. A no could be good for you for growth purposes.
It could develop you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. I've seen people, especially like male models, and especially when she's talking about getting rejected or getting a no. So you see that this person could be really like a good model, right? They have all the features, they have all the looks, the height and everything. But from that one no, they give up.
Yeah.
So they can't model anymore. It's not for me. They got hurt somehow. So it's definitely a skill that you have to almost captivate from time to time. You have to, from time to time, learn and advance. I think, which is what I always strive for, to always look for ways to advance myself. So that way you're on set. It's not like you're there and you're waiting for direction, and then it takes longer than it should be. Then when you're there and you know what you're supposed to do, you know how it's done, it's easy. It makes it easy for both the client and yourself.
So you've seen beautiful models just fail.
Right.
Like
Yep.
people who have the genetics, but
Right.
then they don't put the work in and they don't have the mental resilience.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And to some, and actually, you do crumble, because to some, it's so hard to come back from that space. Possibly it could be that Nivea or whatever campaign, sorry to mention, whatever campaign you've been waiting for like your entire career.
Right.
And then when that campaign says no to you, it's like, oh my God,
crushing.
I've been wanting this. And then now, why aren't they picking me? So now those whys, instead of how can I improve, it becomes a problem, because now the most important issue we have is the internal conversations we have with ourselves. So if you are not positive towards yourself in terms of improving yourself, you are crushing your day every day right before someone can actually say no. So it becomes a problem.
Right.
Yeah, I knew a male model in Cape Town who he was on the come up when we were in university.
Right.
And he kept on getting prodded about like how he looked on set, and he kept on like not, and it messed up his mentality like forever.
Yeah.
He actually like got hospitalized for depression and everything. Like it was really, really, really tough.
It is
Really
tough.
harsh.
It is. That's absolutely true. It can be tough, but like she's saying, you have to kind of become a positive person from the inside, and you have to grow a thicker skin in the sense that you will be told no, but it's not personal. You're just on your own journey, and somewhere down the line it will connect. And it gets better every time when you actually get booked, and then it's like, okay, so it's not all bad, it's not personal.
Yeah.
But from time to time you will be getting those no's and all the criticisms and whatnot, but yeah, you just really have to toughen up in a way.
Let me swing the genetics question to you.
So I do believe that, of course, there is some genetics to it. Let's be honest. We are a very visual industry.
Right.
It's kind of your images first and thereafter. But I don't think one can just depend on that.
Yeah.
And have you go through it in life and think you're gonna coast it, because that's not gonna get you anywhere.
Sure.
I also believe that we come across some really beautiful people, and like you mentioned, a friend of yours, you have to be emotionally stable. And this is why the meeting in the beginning for me is so important, because you could be incredibly looking. But if I sense from the questions that I'm asking you that this is going to be something that's going to crush you, I wouldn't encourage you to get into it immediately. Only because it is 90% rejection. It really is. But it's how you approach the rejection is going to actually benefit you down the line. So I don't think it's wholly genetics, because what I may see in a model, another agency may not. And therefore you get so many no's. So you've got to go with an agency that already from the onset believes in you, because that already is part of your job done, because they're going to push exceptionally hard on you. You know, don't ever just go with a maybe or yes. This is what I say to all the models. Go with someone that's excited because they already see the potential in you. Go with someone that wants to see you because they've already seen the potential in you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to put effort into actually trying to
100%.
ensure that you get booked.
100%. And not every agency out there is just a model agency. Not every model is matched to every agency.
Right.
We don't realize this. We kind of focus on our niche in a way. Like you have a certain way, if you want to do fashion, this is the type of model you will be looking for. There's no point in me taking on a model, for example, that's a commercial model. That's kind of purely commercial. I'm not I do it, but I think that if you are going to be better suited within an agency that kind of thrives on that, absolutely, I would rather you do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now back onto this whole idea of looks. Largely as models, you guys are within the 10 to the 1 percentile of individuals. Okay. So with that being said, I want to ask you, what do you look for in a model?
So that's a heavy loaded question right there. To be honest, I know it when I see it. It's really hard for me to explain. I tend to go for the more unique look. It's kind of where my eye is drawn to. I don't personally naturally go for a model that is the obvious beauty. Like you have to look a little harder and then you see it. That's kind of how I scout my models. Of course, beautiful models are beautiful models. You're not going to take them. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it is an industry. But for me personally, when I'm scouting, I always seem to look for something just beyond what's just visually obvious. So, yeah.
Okay.
As I always say, I always look for the very unique one. If that's the way to say it. Yeah. I mean, I'm drawn to that just with my scouting. That's kind of the direction I go.
So it's not just about beauty. It's almost like finding a person who's an art piece.
100%. Because it's not art. I mean, it is art. The models bring what you do to life. Whether it's your design, whether it's your product, whether it's your brand, you are using them to promote your product. So it is art. It's all linked. It's all intertwined. And this is how I see it.
Right.
You know, you're all working together to do this beautiful thing that we then see and we look at it and go, wow, that was a really great campaign.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
How many people were involved in that to get that wow? That was a really great campaign. So I think it is art. And that's the perfect word that you've used. That's exactly how I view it.
So just a tangent a little bit to you guys, all right? So as models, as attractive people, I want to ask you, when you were starting up, when you decided that this is a thing that you want to do, did you find it difficult to be taken seriously by your friends and family?
Yeah, to be quite honest with you, it's still hard for my family to take me seriously, simply because it's not the same as corporates where you get paid every month. So you can get a booking today, you can get a shoot today, but then the process, there's the waiting period where you have to wait to get paid. So to some people, in order for you to call something a career, you need to be consistently paid at a certain time. So with us, it's more patient and more grooming and more passion more than just getting paid. So when you get a shoot or you get whatever booking that you get and then you don't get paid month, and it's like, how? So why are you doing this? You know, like, aren't you getting paid? And when you say, no, it takes time, and it's like, so what are you doing basically? You know, they don't understand the depth and the character development that you do in the process and you loving what you do right before you get that payment. But by the time the payment comes, you've already forgotten about it because there's something else waiting for you to do. You know, so
you're on to the next one.
Yeah. after the shoot, there's a booking for something else, there's a costing. To them, it's like it's a waste of money because you keep maneuvering because you're not getting money. But to me, it's like, okay, after this work, on to the next, on to the next. By the time the money comes, it just comes to cover this and that. So it's about you having more passion rather than just being influenced by people like, maybe this thing is not for you, try this. And then when you off ramp from that, you find out, no, this is not what I wanted to do, So sometimes you get pressured, you get questioned, and sometimes you don't have the answers yet because, you're figuring things out as you go. So it's kind of hard sometimes to get that support that you are waiting for simply because it's not what they think it's supposed to be, but because you understand what it is and what it's going to take for you to get there, you're patient enough.
It's not like the situation that they're taught success is.
Yeah. That we all know and we all think it's supposed to be. So it's more work more than the fruit. So you get yourself there. When you actually get there, you're just like, oh, this was great. And then from that relief, you're like, let's go again.
It's like delayed gratification, but then you immediately have to get back on the grind.
Exactly.
Right.
And tell me about your experiences.
Yeah, at first, it was exactly like that. But over time, I think I also had to be patient with the people around me, my friends and my family, because some of them couldn't really understand what it is all about. Okay. It's like, oh, you do modeling, okay. And that's it. It's like it's not really a close thing to them to fully understand. So as much as I am patient with the industry and me being a model or becoming better, I had to be patient with them as well. So in terms of understanding, like my friends now, they're all supportive. Like they understand.
Oh, that's amazing.
My family not on the same level, but I had to be patient with them as well. So at some point they're expecting like a lot of big things is happening, but yet, like she's saying, it's not really the reality at the time because you do this work today and then tomorrow you're on to the next one, and maybe you just have to be patient and growing yourself, waiting for a certain opportunity that you have been hoping on, and maybe you don't get that. So you could get disappointed and they come in with this pressure. Aren't you a model? Like, what's going on, So I think I had to be patient with explaining or communicating with my family and my friends as well. Yeah, so now I'm not really worried about I have to explain myself in a way. Like I had to explain myself in the sense, but now it's like I just do what I love to do, and that's the direction I'm taking. It's either you support it or not, but I'm still head on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from understanding these experiences that you guys have gone through, the doubt that members of your family members have pushed onto you, the expectations, I want to ask you then, is modeling a viable career path for somebody in Durban?
Absolutely. I do believe Durban is opening up, but we have to look at that, for me, I can only speak from a personal kind of agency owner. What I would like for my models is not remain here. Yes, we are Durban, and Durban has an industry. It may not be as big yet as maybe Cape Town, for example, because you mentioned Cape Town. The whole point is to get the talent out there. It is a career. I've booked in agencies where this is what models do full time. And this is what I want for each and every one of them on my board. I never want them to just be here. I would like them to take Durban globally. And that's really the intention. So it is viable. I believe wholeheartedly that it's viable. But there has to be work. You have to break down doors. People are very set in their ways. It's very different to an industry in Cape Town, for example. Even Johannesburg, which is a lot more engaging on someone that's new on the block, for example, to here. Because Durban is an industry that maybe people think I'm just going to use who I'm always going to use.
Exactly.
And I'm going to continue to just use them because I've used them before. With regards to, I think one thing I'm super proud of within the agency is when we first started, we started with nothing. Not a model, not a campaign, not a anything. And I literally was 10-footing it, sort of pavement hunting to find my first model. So that was in Checkers parking lot. I strolled up Florida Road at 10 o'clock at night, and that for me is something that I hope I never forget. And I really strive on that because it really is the vision of what we're trying to develop. So that I'm very proud of. That was a milestone that we overcame. Now we have 80 models on our board.
80?
80. And
Jeez.
I'm so proud. And that is Durban, Johannesburg, and a few in Cape Town. And that for me is an incredible, incredible, humbling moment, only because the models trust us enough to be with us, number one, that we managed to stay steadfast in an industry that can be very volatile and heartbreaking. But you have to love it. Like Jerry says, you honestly have to love what you do.
How do you avoid favoritism?
I don't have favoritism. I think that it's really important that you have good relationships with each and every one of them. And this is why I say the personal touches are important. You need to know who you're working with, and you need to know their weaknesses. And I kind of like to work with each model for what they want to achieve. What are your goals? How can I help you get there? So that is where it would take away the favoritism in a mindset. We are a family environment. I want my models to promote the other models on the board. I want them to know each other. I want it to be not a competitive, ugly environment, because I'm not of that nature, and I don't want to promote that. And unfortunately, I'm grateful that I don't have that within my agency. Thank God, I hope. Yes. But no, I don't have that. I think the models are very supportive of each other. They're always they're expanding their knowledge to the younger ones when they're on set. They're kind of watching over them. And everyone starts somewhere. Let's not forget this. Every single model has started somewhere at some point. So if we can assist collectively to get them to there, because you would have been much further when they get to you.
Exactly.
So no one's taking away from you. You're just helping the growth.
So it's more like a family.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, on that,
we're trying to nudge on that.
Yeah. On that note, my name is Jerry, and I approve this message.
Seconded.
Yeah. So it is more. It is. So no, I don't think that. I don't think there's. I know there's no favoritism within our agency per se.
Okay. No, that's great. Now, I'm going to tangent slightly because I want to ask you guys this question. All right. So as models, obviously you're objectified a lot.
Yeah.
So does that not affect you in the dating pool? Because now you become like a quote unquote trophy.
Damn.
Sit up and listen to this one.
I'm going to let you go first, Jerry.
Oh man. Sure. It does. I think it's really all about really knowing yourself and what you want. Because a lot of times that happens. You're at a show and someone has seen you at the show, and then you meet them somewhere and they're like, oh, you're that guy. And you can see their attitude is because they have seen you at a show or whatever. If it wasn't that they knew you were a model, maybe it would have been different. But since they come to know that you're a model, there's kind of an expectation of how they treat you. There's like a different attitude towards you. So I feel like you always have to be yourself at all time, treat people with respect, and you don't have to kind of fall onto that kind of, I don't know, it's like a connotation to me. So I don't have to fall with it.
What is the connotation?
I feel like there's a number of connotations when it comes to modeling. People think that you're just this person at any time, at any given time, you can just rock up and just be this model. But like she was saying earlier, you're a human. You have emotions as well. If you say something to me, I might feel it if it's offensive, you know? So sometimes also it's that when you're doing shows like Runway, at times people think it's just easy. You just go to the show, you walk and back, and that's it. But there is actually a feeling, you know, you get nervous before you go to work. But at the end of the day, you made that choice, you know? I'm going to do this. And there's a thrill to it right after you walk.
Exactly.
So there is a reality that you feel from these shows, from these things, or being a model. But also it's because you made the choice and you want to do it. You kind of get the drive to carry on and do it, and because of their passion as well. So I feel like I try to be myself at all times and really know what I want. So if it's the case, somebody just, comes up and, I don't know if I want to say throw themselves at you.
I was gonna.
So you kind of really have to know yourself and know what you want. So then when you see it, you're not confused as to what you're gonna do. Obviously, treat people.
How do you not develop an ego?
Ego? Yeah, that's a tough one.
Because like you'll definitely go to space and you'll be like, I am in the best shape in this room.
Right.
Own this.
Right. This happened recently.
This happened today.
No, not today.
This happened in this room.
No, that's why I'm saying
It's so funny.
it really does. It really does happen. But that's why I'm saying you really have to, treat people with respect. I have that in front of me because I think I like to relate with people a lot of times. So comes that situation, I have to make sure that I respect people. Because sometimes you would say something that's offensive to someone sitting next to you. Or you treat someone in a way that they're offended because they're looking at you like with this model type
These
of...
rose-tinted glasses.
You know what I'm saying? But you're a person, you yourself. Like I know I am Jerry,
Exactly.
So it's not just model,
Yeah.
So I think at all time how you deal with that is at all time just really respect people in their own space,
Now, tell me about your experiences because they must be vastly different being a lady.
Right.
Especially because there's a lot of sleazy rich men.
Right.
Yeah. It's true. And one thing I've realized in my experience, people tend to forget that we're human. So when they look at me or they look at us as models, they expect you to be a mannequin. Look pretty all the time. Just sit there, look pretty, don't say anything. And then when you get into a space where you question a few things, it's like, oh, it talks,
Yeah.
To be quite honest, in my situation, like I've been in a situation where I question a lot of things and it's like it rubs a few people off like, no, you're not supposed to be that way. So at the end of the day, people tend to forget that I'm human outside of my job, outside of my career, I feel. So if you hurt me, I'm going to want to talk and want to address the situation. So if you sit there and expect to throw offensive things and you expect me to take them all the time, that's going to be an issue because I already know who I am. I'm fully myself. So if I get myself in a space where you feel like you can say certain things to me that I can't take, I can remove myself from that situation. And now it's a matter of if I remove myself in a situation, oh, I miss that pretty person in my life. But at the same time, you don't want them to come with the way they are. Because I feel like people, it's the same as looking at something pretty on the shop. You just want it to stay pretty there on the display, and then when you find out it's okay, it's there's trauma, the human, feels, and then it's like, it's a lot, So in that sense, people kind of take away the fact that we are all human in this world as much as your job entitles this and this is what you do. There's also someone behind that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that is really cool. You guys did that in such a polite way, You didn't mention the club at all.
You started.
You didn't mention the DMs.
Funny enough,
Tidy.
It's very clean.
funny enough, you saying that there was a time I was traveling from Mdluli in Glenwood. So the guy, he was sitting at the back, right? So he's like, so Jerry, tell me, is your DMs like flooded with women? so I'm like, bro, why are you saying that? But because I don't think that's really
A reality.
It isn't a reality, but a connotation again.
Okay.
Perception more than anything else. I think people have a perception that it's easier for models to get dates because you think Models are beautiful. This is why they do what they do. I mean, just you kind of on the outside, if I can just lean in a little bit. Obviously, I'm not a model, but I've been around a lot of models.
Right.
And where I noticed it, because I had to chaperone models in the UK as part of what I did as a booker. When you take them out to clubs and you have these insanely rich men that are oversized in weight. I mean, like, and I mean this respectfully, only because you balding, you don't look good. You literally not carrying yourself well because you feel the wealth that you have is enough to carry you. And the way they treated the young, and this is also where my passion came from the development. The way they treated the young Russian models that we brought in that was 16, 17 was a shocker for me. You know, I became very kind of motherly in the fact that you have to kind of step back. You don't treat females in this manner. And just because you have wealth, you don't get away with it either. This is not your get out of jail free card to do as you wish. So you see it, even though you may not be directly linked to it, but you see how models get treated. And I think that is the way that we should change our mindset as a society. This is a job that they do. And fortunately, they get to do it and they love it. But just like you and I go to work, this is a job that we do. Would we want to be treated in any disrespect in any way?
That's true. I think like the South African equivalent would be blesser culture.
Oh.
That facial expression.
Have you come across any of that with the blessing?
Yes.
Blessing.
Am I saying it correctly? Sorry.
I'm gonna be brutally honest about this one. I've been in a situation where I was doing a show, and then after, someone would come up to me and say, you look good, this is me. And when someone is coming at you flashy, okay, with waving the car keys, don't look at me like that. It is. So it's in that space, I feel like knowing yourself and knowing what you want, it helps a lot. Because you can also get yourself in situations that can be very sticky for you to get yourself out of, simply because I looked at you and, okay, you've got a 10 grand watch, you're driving this car and this and that, but I don't know what's above that. It's the same as looking at a model and not looking at them being human. At the end of the day, you can get yourself in situations where you cannot get yourself out of simply because I looked at you and what you have. So I've been in a situation where a guy comes up to me and, they offer themselves, but it's a matter of, I'm just here to do the show, then I go home. I've been tempted so many times, but simply because I come from a certain family, and Tash is always like, she is enrooting being grounded and knowing yourself and knowing what you want. Hence, she creates these one-on-one conversations in order to find out how was the show, how was everything. So when I open up into letting her know my experience, and I mentioned for like a grown man approaching me, and she will guide me into a space of where you offended in any way, and this is how we're going to move forward. This is how you're going to conduct yourself as a model, just to get yourself in a safe space, and you don't get yourself in a space where you're in danger and I can't even help you myself. So having those conversations with her, those one-on-ones with her, they actually open eyes because she's been around in the industry and she knows how everything moves around. Instead of me being gullible and be like, let me go for it. And then I get into something that I have to come back and explain to her, how did you get into that situation? Now I'm shy to talk about it because I'm embarrassed. So those situations happen all the time. It's not like a one-time thing. All the time there's a shoot or there's someone always interested, because they look at you from the outside and they're like, oh, you look good, you look nice. So, but if you're a person that doesn't know how to hold themselves back or to protect themselves, it's easy for you to get into a situation where it's very sticky for you to come back.
I find that's largely the difference between an influencer and a model for me. Because influencers, it's like, they are searching for the beauty and the fame and the attention from those gentlemen. Whereas models, you're kind of burdened by it.
Right.
It's kind of a side effect of your life. So just to wrap this up, I just want to quickly talk about, what do you have like planned for IMM going forward for the rest of the year? Tell me about some of those things.
Okay, so for this year, I'm aggressively working on getting a few of my models abroad. That's really something that we want to achieve. We also want to expand in terms of bringing more attention to Durban and getting our models out there a lot more.
Amazing.
So increasing our client base, increasing the models doing their work, doing so much more within what they can do, because we have the potential. as I said in the beginning.
Very true.
So yeah, that's really it. Just striving and getting bigger and better.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's really great. We have one of our models potentially going to Turkey in June, so I'm really excited about that.
Wow.
So we're in the process of getting all that done. So yeah, hopefully it will all come together.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show today. I feel like there's so much that people could learn from this episode.
Thank
I
you.
feel like there's a lot of up and coming people in high school who do want to do what you guys do, but they just don't know what the next step is.
Yeah.
So I hope that people please get in contact with iModel Management
Thank you.
and start off your careers and start off your careers the right way.
Thank you so much for having us. It's been
Thank
such
you.
a pleasure. Really, thanks. We're so grateful to be a part of your show, and yeah, it's been an amazing experience.
Thank you.
All right. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you too. Thank
Like
you
and
so
subscribe.
much. Like